The truth about women who live alone without a man is far richer and more complex than the cliches that have followed them through history. To understand it, you first have to set aside the old assumptions and listen to the quiet rhythm of their lives. Imagine waking to a morning light that belongs entirely to you. The room holds the scent of the coffee you chose. The art on the wall speaks to your own taste, and the silence is a canvas where you can paint the day as you wish. For many women across the world, this is not loneliness, but freedom. Freedom hard-won through generations that once denied them the right to property, to work, to self-determination. Only a century ago, in many countries a woman's survival was tied to the presence of a husband. Laws and customs treated her as a dependent. Her name changed with marriage, her finances merged under someone else's control, her choices constrained by the narrow corridor of respectability. Yet, women have always found ways to carve out space for themselves. History holds quiet rebellions. Widows who refused to remarry, artists and teachers who chose their craft over convention, travelers who set out alone. They lived in boarding houses, in family estates, in tiny apartments above busy streets, proving with each day that female independence was not only possible, but deeply fulfilling. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the landscape has transformed. More women are educated, financially secure, and socially mobile than at any other time in recorded history. They build careers, buy homes, and plan retirements on their own terms. They choose whether or not to marry, and if marriage doesn't suit them, they can leave without losing their identity. The decision to live alone is no longer a tragedy to be whispered about. It is a lifestyle embraced by millions. Census numbers reveal steady growth in single-person households led by women over 30, 40, 60, even 80. Some have never married. Others have loved and parted. Some raise children who have now flown the nest. All share the experience of waking each day in a space that is fully their own. What does daily life look like when it is shaped solely by a woman's preferences? It can be as varied as the women themselves. One might rise early to run along a quiet beach before work, relishing the salty wind on her face. Another might sleep late after a night of writing, surrounded by shelves of books and the soft hum of a cat purring nearby. Meals become an expression of mood rather than compromise. A simple salad, a slow-simmered stew, or a sudden decision to eat out at midnight. The decor tells a personal story. Colors that spark joy, souvenirs from solo travels, plants that thrive in the light of her chosen window. There is no invisible negotiation over where to place a chair or how loud the music can be. The space reflects her alone. Yet, the truth is not only about comfort and autonomy. It is about the interior growth that solitude can cultivate. Psychologists note that people who spend intentional time alone often develop stronger self-awareness and resilience. They learn to identify their needs without external validation, to manage finances, to plan for the future with clear eyes. For women who are often socialized to put others first, this autonomy can be transformative. Living alone encourages the discovery of passions that might otherwise remain dormant. A forgotten love of painting, the challenge of a new language, the discipline of a martial art. Without the constant feedback of a partner, they become the authors of their own narrative. Society still carries myths about the single woman, that she must be lonely, that she secretly yearns for partnership, that her independence is a mask for disappointment. But when researchers ask women who live alone about their satisfaction, many report high levels of happiness and health. They build networks of friends and chosen family, invest in community projects, and nurture intergenerational ties that are often richer and more diverse than those bound by blood or marriage. They are proof that companionship does not have to mean cohabitation. Emotional intimacy can flourish in friendships, mentorships, and creative collaborations that respect personal space. Safety and financial planning are practical realities, and women living alone often become experts in both. They learn to evaluate neighborhoods, install secure locks, keep emergency contacts close. They master budgets, retirement plans, and investment strategies because their well-being depends on it. Far from being a weakness, this vigilance becomes a source of confidence. Each bill paid, each skill mastered, reinforces the knowledge that they are capable of sustaining themselves. In a world where economic independence has historically been denied to women, this self-reliance is an act of quiet revolution. Part of the beauty of solitary living lies in the ability to shape relationships freely. Some women who live alone are deeply romantic and maintain loving partnerships without the expectation of sharing a home. Others enjoy casual dating or long stretches of celibacy. The key is choice. Freed from the pressure to conform, they define intimacy on their own terms. They may host dinners for friends that last late into the night, travel spontaneously with companions, or simply cherish evenings of peaceful solitude. Their homes become sanctuaries of authenticity, places where they can welcome others without surrendering autonomy. Living alone is not without challenges. There are evenings when silence feels heavy, when illness or sudden crises can stir anxiety. Yet these moments often lead to networks of mutual support. Women create circles of trust with neighbors, friends, and extended family. They check in on one another, share meals, and provide help when needed. These chosen communities are resilient, built not on obligation but on genuine care. In many ways, they resemble the ancient traditions of village life, where survival and joy depended on cooperative bonds rather than the nuclear household. As the years pass, women who live alone often report a deepening sense of peace. They learn the rhythms of their own bodies, notice the seasons more keenly, and cultivate routines that nourish health and spirit. Morning yoga by an open window, evening walks through familiar streets, the pleasure of reading until dawn. These small acts accumulate into a rich, self-directed life. They show younger generations that fulfillment is not tied to marital status, but to the freedom of being fully oneself. The deeper truth about women who live alone without a man is revealed not only in the quiet of their homes, but also in the way they interact with the world outside. Independence does not mean isolation. Many of these women create lives that are in fact more socially vibrant than those of their married peers. Free from the fixed schedules of a shared household, they can accept spontaneous invitations, join evening classes, or travel at a moment's notice. You might find one spending a week in a mountain village learning pottery, another hiking with a local club at dawn, and another volunteering at a community garden every weekend. Their friendships often span generations and cultures, weaving a social fabric as rich as any traditional family network. Work and professional purpose frequently play a central role in this lifestyle. Some women who live alone pursue ambitious careers, savoring the ability to focus on their craft without compromise. Others choose flexible, creative work that aligns with personal values. Without the subtle or overt expectation to prioritize a partner's career, they are free to make bold moves, relocating to another city for a dream job, starting a business, taking sabbaticals to travel or study. This self-directed path fosters a confidence that radiates beyond the workplace. Colleagues notice their calm authority, the sense that they steer their own ship. Financial literacy becomes both a necessity and a source of pride. Women living solo learn to budget carefully, invest wisely, and plan for long-term security. They open retirement accounts, study real estate markets, and negotiate salaries with clarity because they know their future depends on their own decisions. Far from being a burden, this responsibility often feels liberating. Each successful investment, each well-managed expense is a quiet affirmation of capability. They discover that money, when managed with intention, is not merely a tool for survival, but a means of shaping a life filled with experiences, learning, and generosity. Health and self-care also take on a different dimension. Without a partner's habits to influence meals or routines, these women listen closely to their own bodies. They choose foods that nourish them, schedule regular medical checkups, and design exercise programs they genuinely enjoy. Whether it's early morning swims, weekend cycling, or evening Tai Chi in a city park, the commitment comes from an internal compass rather than external pressure. This autonomy often leads to better overall health outcomes. Studies show that women who live alone are more likely to maintain strong friendships and community ties, factors strongly linked to longevity and mental well-being. Emotionally, Living alone nurtures a distinct kind of resilience. Life inevitably brings setbacks, career changes, illnesses, the loss of loved ones, but women who have learned to rely on themselves develop an inner steadiness. They face challenges head-on because they must, and in doing so they discover their own strength. They become adept at problem-solving, from handling household repairs to navigating bureaucracies, and each solved problem adds to a quiet reservoir of confidence. This is not the brittle independence of someone who refuses help. Rather, it is the grounded independence of someone who knows she can stand on her own, yet remains open to connection. Culturally, the presence of self-sufficient women reshapes communities. They mentor younger colleagues, support local businesses, and often become pillars of volunteer organizations. Because they are not tied to traditional family structures, they have time and energy to invest in civic life, serving on boards, organizing cultural events, or advocating for social change. Their influence ripples outward, challenging stereotypes and expanding the definition of family itself. Neighbors notice the warm light spilling from their windows during gatherings of friends, book clubs, or charity planning sessions, and the image quietly rewrites old narratives about what a woman's home should be. Romantic life, for those who seek it, unfolds on their own terms. Some enjoy long-distance relationships that allow both partners to maintain personal space. Others choose companions for travel or shared interests without the expectation of cohabitation. The absence of societal pressure to marry means they can approach love with curiosity rather than urgency. They know that a partnership can enhance life but is not required for fulfillment. This perspective often leads to healthier, more equal relationships when they do choose to date. Relationships built on mutual respect and choice rather than necessity. Spirituality and inner growth frequently deepen during years of independent living. With time and solitude, many women cultivate mindfulness practices, meditation, or creative rituals that feed the soul. They may join small meditation groups, attend silent retreats, or simply set aside a corner of their home for reflection. The stillness of a solo household provides fertile ground for this exploration. Whether religious or secular, these practices offer a sense of purpose and peace that transcends daily routines. Travel becomes another avenue of expansion. Women who live alone often become seasoned solo travelers, planning journeys that suit their unique rhythms. They wander through art museums in distant cities, hike remote trails, or immerse themselves in foreign languages and cuisines. Each trip reinforces the understanding that the world is accessible, that they need not wait for a companion to unlock its wonders. Travel stories accumulate like jewels, moments of awe at a sunrise over ancient ruins, friendships formed on trains or in marketplaces, the quiet triumph of navigating unfamiliar streets alone. Through all of this runs a common thread: choice. The decision to live without a man is not an absence, but a presence, a deliberate shaping of life around one's own values. These women are not defined by what they lack, but by what they embrace: autonomy, growth, connection on their own terms. Their lives illustrate that solitude can be rich, relationships diverse, and happiness self-generated. The truth about women who live alone without a man continues to unfold in the subtle rhythms of everyday life. Morning routines become rituals of intention rather than compromise. A woman might wake to quiet sunlight and the sound of birds outside her window, brew a cup of coffee exactly the way she likes it, and ease into the day with a favorite book or a stretch of yoga. No conversation is necessary unless she wishes it. This unhurried beginning sets a tone of self-respect that infuses the rest of her schedule. She chooses how to spend her hours, and each decision reinforces a sense of ownership over her life. Community engagement often grows naturally from this grounded independence. Freed from the constant negotiation of shared domestic duties, many of these women invest time in local projects, teaching art classes for children, tutoring language learners, or helping to maintain neighborhood green spaces. Their contributions knit them into the fabric of the community in a way that is both generous and self-affirming. They become trusted figures whom others turn to for guidance or simply for the pleasure of their company. People notice that their presence brings steadiness and warmth, a quiet assurance that someone cares. Their homes tell their stories. Without the need to compromise on decor or layout, these women create living spaces that reflect their unique identities. Walls may display travel photography, shelves might overflow with books and collected mementos, and a small garden could thrive on the balcony. Every object has meaning because it was chosen deliberately. Visitors often remark on the harmony and personality that radiate from such spaces. The home becomes both sanctuary and gallery, a living testament to autonomy and creativity. Technology has become a powerful ally for the solo lifestyle. Women living alone skillfully use video calls to stay close to loved ones, manage finances with online tools, and explore new skills through digital courses. Far from isolating them, technology expands their social and intellectual horizons. They might take an online philosophy seminar with students around the world, or collaborate on a digital art project with someone they've never met in person. This willingness to adapt keeps their minds flexible and their lives vibrant, defying outdated notions that independence equates to stagnation. Family connections often deepen in unexpected ways. Because their relationships are based on choice rather than obligation, interactions with siblings, children, or extended relatives can become more intentional and affectionate. A woman living alone may plan regular visits or host family dinners not because she must, but because she genuinely wants to nurture those bonds. This voluntary closeness carries a different energy, less tension, more mutual respect. Younger family members often look to her as a model of resilience and authenticity, recognizing that love need not be tethered to traditional roles. Romantic possibilities, when they arise, are approached with clarity. A woman who is content on her own does not seek a partner to fill a void. She seeks someone who complements an already full life. This changes the entire dynamic of dating. She feels free to enjoy companionship without the weight of expectation. Relationships become partnerships of equals, built on mutual curiosity and shared values. And if no romance appears, she remains fulfilled, knowing that her happiness has never depended on another person's presence. As the years pass, this independence often blossoms into a profound sense of wisdom. Challenges that once seemed daunting, handling finances, maintaining a household, making major decisions, are met with calm assurance. She knows her strengths, acknowledges her limits, and trusts herself to learn whatever she does not yet know. This self-knowledge becomes a beacon for others, inspiring friends, neighbors, and even strangers who witness the quiet confidence she carries into every encounter. Travel continues to offer transformative experiences. Whether exploring distant continents or rediscovering the hidden corners of her own city, she moves through the world with curiosity and courage. She learns new languages, tastes unfamiliar foods, and collects stories that enrich her understanding of humanity. Each journey is a celebration of freedom, proving again that the absence of a permanent companion need not mean the absence of adventure or intimacy with life itself. Perhaps the most striking aspect of these women's lives is the joy they cultivate. Joy does not come from external validation, but from a daily practice of noticing beauty. Sunlight on a windowsill, the laughter of a neighbor's child, the satisfaction of a well-cooked meal. They understand that happiness is not a grand event waiting in the future, but a quiet accumulation of present moments. Their ability to savor these details gives them an enviable radiance, a magnetic presence that draws people toward them. In a society that often measures worth by marital status or domestic roles, these women offer a gentle but powerful counter-narrative. They demonstrate that independence is not loneliness, that solitude is not emptiness, and that a woman's life can be complete and deeply meaningful without conforming to traditional expectations. Their stories challenge long-held assumptions and expand the possibilities for everyone, women and men alike, who yearn to live authentically. The truth about women who live alone without a man reveals itself most vividly in the way they cultivate resilience. Life inevitably presents challenges, unexpected expenses, sudden illness, moments of doubt, and these women learn to face them with resourcefulness and grace. Instead of leaning automatically on a partner, they build a network of trusted friends, neighbors, and professionals. A single phone call to a close friend, a conversation with a mentor, or a visit from a supportive neighbor provides the encouragement and perspective they need. This web of chosen connections can be more reliable than a single relationship, because it is woven from mutual respect and genuine affection rather than obligation. Financial independence is both a necessity and a triumph. Many women who live alone manage budgets with skill, tracking expenses, saving for the future, and investing in ways that reflect their values. Some create small businesses from passions they've nurtured for years, baking artisanal bread, restoring furniture, offering consulting services, or guiding nature walks. Others focus on careful retirement planning and charitable giving, ensuring their resources sustain both their own well-being and causes they cherish. Money becomes a tool for freedom, not a source of anxiety. Each financial decision reinforces the knowledge that they are capable of shaping their own destiny. Health and self-care occupy a central place in their lives. Without a partner's schedule to influence meals or activities, they choose routines that nourish body and mind. Balanced nutrition, regular exercise, and preventive health care become acts of empowerment. Early morning walks, community dance classes, swimming sessions, or quiet meditation help maintain physical vitality and mental clarity. Medical appointments are scheduled promptly because no one else must be consulted. Far from neglecting themselves, these women become attentive stewards of their own health, setting an example for friends and family who admire their discipline and energy. Social myths about loneliness often fade in the face of lived reality. While outsiders may assume that solitude equates to sadness, many women who live alone report a deep sense of contentment. They cultivate friendships that are rich and sustaining, hosting dinner parties, joining book clubs, or volunteering for local causes. These interactions are chosen freely, which makes them more satisfying. Instead of constant companionship, they experience meaningful connection, and the difference is profound. They learn that the presence of people who truly understand and appreciate them is far more valuable than simply having someone nearby. Creativity thrives in this environment of self-direction. With uninterrupted time, many rediscover talents long set aside: painting, writing poetry, composing music, designing clothes, or experimenting with photography. Their homes double as studios, their afternoons become workshops, and their evenings provide quiet space for reflection. This artistic expression is not necessarily for public recognition. It is an intimate conversation with the self, a celebration of inner life. Some eventually share their creations with the world, while others keep them private. But in every case, creativity becomes a wellspring of joy and meaning. Mentorship emerges naturally. Younger women often seek out these independent elders for guidance, inspired by their courage and steadiness. Conversations over coffee or long walks reveal hard-won insights about love, career choices, personal growth, and self-respect. The wisdom these mentors offer carries weight because it is born from lived experience rather than theory. They have navigated both freedom and challenge, and their calm perspective offers reassurance that a woman can thrive on her own terms. Travel remains a recurring theme of expansion and renewal. Some plan solo journeys to distant countries, immersing themselves in unfamiliar cultures and savoring the thrill of navigating new cities alone. Others choose simple weekend escapes to nearby mountains or quiet coastal towns. Each trip reinforces a sense of capability and wonder. Navigating airports, learning basic phrases in another language, or finding hidden cafes in a foreign neighborhood all become proof of their independence. Photographs from these adventures fill albums and walls, constant reminders that the world is wide and welcoming. Evenings often hold a special magic. With no one else's preferences to accommodate, a woman might spend a quiet night reading by lamplight, watching a documentary, or simply listening to music that stirs old memories. She might invite a few friends for a slow meal cooked from family recipes, or she might relish the serenity of solitude. These nights are not empty. They are full of presence, a chance to savor life's quieter textures without distraction. In the stillness, many discover a spiritual depth that feels like companionship with the universe itself. Society's gradual recognition of this lifestyle has begun to reshape cultural expectations. Magazines feature profiles of independent women thriving in midlife and beyond. Films and novels portray them not as tragic figures but as fully realized individuals. Younger generations grow up seeing independence as a valid and even desirable choice, which in turn reduces the pressure to follow traditional paths. This shift benefits everyone, expanding the definition of a fulfilled life. At the heart of it all is freedom, the freedom to design each day, to pursue passions, to nurture friendships, to travel or stay home, to dream and to rest. Far from being lonely or incomplete, these women often describe their lives as abundant. They prove that a woman's worth is not measured by her relationship status, but by the richness of her experiences and the authenticity of her choices. Their stories invite all of us to imagine possibilities beyond convention, to believe that happiness can take many forms, and to honor the quiet strength that comes from standing confidently alone. The truth about women who live alone without a man reaches even deeper when you listen to the quieter moments of their lives, the spaces between public activity and visible accomplishment. In those spaces, self-knowledge ripens. They come to understand their own rhythms, when they need silence and when they crave conversation, when a walk at dawn replenishes the spirit, when a late-night burst of energy calls for a painting session or a few pages of a novel. These private choices, invisible to the outside world, build a sense of authenticity that no external validation can match. Memories of past relationships, whether joyful or painful, become teachers rather than burdens. Without daily distractions, a woman can examine the patterns of her history with compassion. She notices how each experience, romantic love, heartbreak, career triumphs, family obligations, has shaped her resilience. Regret softens into understanding. Bitterness dissolves into gratitude for the lessons learned. This quiet reckoning often brings emotional freedom, allowing her to move through the present without the weight of unresolved stories. Spiritual exploration often deepens during this stage of life. Some women return to the faith traditions of their childhood with a renewed sense of connection, while others create personal practices drawn from meditation, nature walks, or simple daily gratitude. Living alone gives them the freedom to shape spiritual life according to their own insights. Morning prayer, evening journaling, or silent contemplation under a starlit sky becomes a cherished ritual, not dictated by a partner's schedule or expectations. This inner grounding radiates outward, giving their interactions with the world a calm, steady quality that others find quietly inspiring. Friendships, too, take on a luminous importance. With no romantic partner occupying the central emotional space, these women invest wholeheartedly in friendships that are nurturing and reciprocal. They host book clubs where laughter and debate spill late into the night. They meet a walking companion every Saturday to share thoughts about art, politics, or the small victories of everyday life. They support one another through illness, celebrate professional milestones, and stand as chosen family in times of need. These bonds, forged by choice rather than circumstance, often outlast many traditional relationships. Mentoring the next generation becomes a natural extension of this generosity. A neighbor's teenage daughter might find in her a patient listener and wise advisor. Younger colleagues seek her guidance on career moves or the challenge of balancing ambition with personal well-being. Her insight carries credibility because it is not theoretical. It springs from decades of lived experience. By freely offering wisdom without expectation of reward, she becomes an anchor of stability in her community. Artistic and intellectual pursuits flourish. With long evenings uninterrupted, many women embrace the joy of study. A new language, a history course at a local college, or a deep dive into astronomy, philosophy, or music theory. They might join writing workshops, compose memoirs, or collaborate with local theater groups. Some discover talents they never suspected in themselves: watercolor painting, wood carving, digital design, and find in these creative acts a wellspring of vitality that keeps the mind alert and the heart young. Health maintenance becomes an empowering discipline rather than a chore. Freed from the subtle negotiations of shared living, they set their own meal plans rich with vegetables, whole grains, and flavors they love. They schedule medical checkups promptly and keep active through Tai Chi, hiking clubs, or morning swims. Many speak of the joy of exercising purely for their own well-being, not to meet someone else's expectations. Over time, these habits translate into remarkable vitality, challenging stereotypes about aging and independence. Travel remains a recurring theme of celebration and courage. Solo journeys sharpen problem-solving skills and bring unexpected friendships. Whether exploring quiet villages along the Mediterranean, trekking through misty mountains, or simply taking a weekend train ride to a nearby town, each trip confirms their ability to navigate the world on their own terms. They return home with stories and photographs, but more importantly with a widened sense of possibility and a profound trust in their own resourcefulness. As the years progress, these women often become living testaments to a broader cultural shift. Younger generations look to them and see proof that a woman's life need not revolve around marriage or partnership to be meaningful. Their confidence chips away at old assumptions, quietly reshaping what families, communities, and societies imagine for women of every age. They embody a future where choice is celebrated and independence is honored. Above all, their lives illuminate a central truth, that joy and fulfillment are not rewards granted by others but states of being cultivated within. Their days, whether bustling with friends and projects or wrapped in solitary reflection, demonstrate that wholeness is an inner condition. They have discovered that love, in its many forms, can flow freely without being bound to a single romantic relationship. And in living this truth, they offer a subtle invitation to everyone, men and women alike, to reconsider what it really means to live a complete and courageous life. The truth about women who live alone without a man finds one of its richest expressions in the way they approach the ordinary details of daily existence. Morning light spilling across the kitchen counter becomes a quiet celebration of autonomy. Preparing breakfast is not a task to hurry through, but an act of mindfulness. Fresh fruit sliced just the way they like. Tea steeped to personal perfection. The absence of compromise allows every small choice to reflect a private rhythm. And this continual affirmation of self gradually shapes a profound sense of peace. Over time, the relationship these women build with their surroundings becomes almost symphonic. The neighborhood cafe owner knows their favorite pastry, the local librarian sets aside new books that match their taste, and the florist greets them by name. These simple interactions weave a fabric of belonging that is no less real for being subtle. The solo life does not mean isolation. It means choosing how and when to connect, crafting a network of relationships that is as broad or intimate as they desire. Seasons of life bring changes, and these women adapt with remarkable fluidity. When careers wind down, they may shift focus to mentoring, volunteering, or artistic projects that had long been postponed. When health concerns arise, they approach them with pragmatism and courage, assembling a trusted circle of doctors, friends, and support networks. The independence they have cultivated becomes a sturdy foundation, enabling them to navigate medical decisions or lifestyle adjustments with clarity rather than fear. Family dynamics often evolve in unexpectedly positive ways. Adult children, nieces, and nephews visit not out of duty but genuine affection. Gatherings around the dinner table carry an atmosphere of mutual respect. Everyone senses that the host's hospitality is freely offered, not obligatory. Stories are shared, laughter echoes, and younger relatives absorb the quiet lesson that a woman's worth is not tied to marital status, but to the authenticity of her presence. Creativity continues to blossom in later years. Some women embark on ambitious writing projects, compiling memoirs or crafting novels inspired by decades of observation. Others turn their homes into art studios or music rooms, letting brushstrokes or melodies capture emotions too subtle for words. They discover that artistic expression can deepen with age, enriched by layers of memory and insight. Even those who keep their creations private experience a renewal of spirit each time they paint a canvas, shape clay, or compose a song. Their influence often reaches far beyond their immediate circles. Communities come to value their steadiness and perspective. They serve on neighborhood boards, advise local charities, or simply become the neighbor everyone trusts for thoughtful counsel. Their wisdom is sought not because of a title or relationship, but because people recognize the integrity that radiates from a life lived on one's own terms. Travel remains a source of renewal. Whether venturing across continents or exploring hidden corners of their own cities, they move with a confident curiosity. Solo travel sharpens their independence and opens unexpected friendships. They navigate train stations in foreign languages, share meals with strangers who become companions, and return home with a widened sense of humanity. Each journey reinforces the truth that the world welcomes those who approach it with openness and respect. Evenings at home often carry a gentle magic. A candle lit beside a favorite chair, the quiet hum of distant traffic, the slow unfolding of a beloved novel, these moments reveal that contentment need not be loud or crowded. Some nights they invite friends for dinner and conversation. Other nights they savor silence. Both choices are equally satisfying because both are freely made. Perhaps the most striking aspect of these women's lives is the quiet confidence that grows from years of self-reliance. They have proven to themselves again and again that they can face change, create joy, and build community without depending on a partner. This confidence radiates outward, inspiring others to question assumptions about dependency and fulfillment. Younger women observe and learn that solitude can be fertile ground for happiness. Men, too, begin to see that independence and connection are not opposites, but complementary strengths. As society continues to evolve, their stories help rewrite the cultural narrative. They show that love is expansive. It can manifest in friendship, creativity, service, and a deep relationship with the self. They remind us that companionship is valuable, but not the sole path to meaning. They embody a future in which choice is celebrated, individuality honored, and every person, regardless of gender or marital status, can design a life that feels whole. And so the truth stands clear. Women who live alone without a man are not defined by absence, but by presence. The presence of courage, of creativity, of resilient joy. Their days are filled with the richness of self-directed living, their hearts open to the world on their own terms. They demonstrate that a fulfilled life is not something to be granted by another, but something to be created, patiently, deliberately, and beautifully, by one's own hand.